Hello! Today we're going to be doing 6.2 multiplication and division equations part 1. Part 1 we're just going to be working with multiplication equations. So let's get started. Alright, so here's your vocabulary. The division property is what we're going to be, division property of equality is what we're going to be working on today. And that is when you divide the same number by both sides of the equation will still be equal. So let's look. So if A equals B, then if I divide both sides by C, it'll still be equal. However, C can't equal 0, okay, because that would give you an unknown. So let's go ahead and get started with example 1. So the first thing is I need to solve 20 equals 4x, and then we need to check your solution. Okay, so how do we get x alone is the first question that you're going to say to yourself. Well, I see here that it's 4 times x, so to get it alone we have to undo it. Okay, so first find the variable, decide what's happening to the variable, so we're multiplying by 4. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write 20 equals 4x. And then we're going to use the inverse operation to undo it. So instead of multiplying by 4, we're going to divide by 4 on both sides. So to divide by 4, I start here, I divide by 4. This is your division symbol. So if I divide by 4 on the right side, the division property of equality says I need to divide by 4 on the left. Okay? So what happens here? So I have 4 fourths. What is 4 fourths? It's just one whole. So I like to say it's just 1, so I cross it off. That's like my giant 1. So what I'm left with on the right side is an x. And then I just go ahead and simplify 20 divided by 4, and that's 5. So x equals 5. To check my solution is I rewrite my original equation, so 20 equals 4x, and then I plug in or substitute, it's kind of a little off, there we go, the 5 into the x. So 4, and then I put the 5 in for the x. So the only thing I changed, so it says 4 times 5 now instead of 4 times x. And 4 times 5 is 20. So 20 equals 20. So what is the solution? I have x equals 5. And then what property did I use? The division property of equality. Okay. All right, here's the next problem. Example 2, I have negative 8y equals 24. So the first question is, how do we get y alone? So we're looking here and we see that it is being multiplied. So we have to undo it, and it's being multiplied by a negative 8. So we have to undo that negative 8 because we want a positive one. So I'm going to go ahead and write negative 8 of y equals 24. My variable's right here. It's being multiplied by a negative 8. So that's times a negative 8. Maybe I should put times 8. I don't know. It kind of looks like an x. All right. So I need to now undo it. So instead of multiplying by 8, I need to do it and use the inverse. So I'm going to divide by negative 8. So I should put divide by negative 8. So I'm dividing by negative 8 on this side because I want a positive 1. Okay? So that means I divide by negative 8 on this side. So what happens to your negative 8 divided by negative 8? That's your giant 1. So I'm left with y equals, and then 24 divided by a negative 8. Well, 24 divided by 8 is 3, and a positive divided by a negative is just a negative. So I have my solution as y equals negative 3. Okay? And then what property did I use? The division property of equality. And then let's go ahead and check. So I'm going to rewrite my equation here, negative 8y equals 24. I'm going to substitute that 3 in. So negative 8 times y, and y is this time negative 3. So negative times a negative is a positive. So 8 times 3 is 24, and 24 equals 24. So there's your check. Okay, here is example 3. So the first thing that you need to do is, how do we get x alone? Find your variable. So here's your variable. How do I get it alone? What's happening to the x? Well, it's being multiplied, by 6, right? So it's times 6. So now we have to use the inverse, which is to divide by 6. So we're going to divide by 6 on both sides. So divide by 6 here, and divide by 6. This gives me 6 divided by 6. That's my giant 1, which is 1. So I'm left with x on the right side. And then 30 divided by 6 is 5. So my solution is x equals 5. What I do to both sides is the division property of equality. And then I want you to go ahead and check this one on your own. So rewrite the equation and plug in the 5. Do you get 30 equals 30? Let's go on to the next problem. Okay, so this is example 4, and this time I want you to try it. So I think you guys can do this one. So negative 9d equals 72, and then I want you to check your solution. So how do we get to d alone? Okay, what's happening to the variable? And then I want you to undo the variable and then use the inverse operation to do that. So go ahead and try this on your own. It will be in your practice problems. So if I had negative 9d equals 72, I divided by negative 9 on both sides, so I get d equals negative 8. Okay, the solution is d equals negative 8, and it was the division property of equality. This is question number 5. So 4z equals 60. I do want you to try this one on your own again. So, and then check your solution to see how you did. Okay, so find the variable, decide what's happening to it, and then undo it by using the inverse operations. Okay, when you're done, check it, and make sure you write your solution in and what property is used. You will have to be doing that in your practice. All right, and then these are the last of your U tries. So I have 6x equals 45 and 5h equals 325. All right, see you guys later. Bye.